the thought of even just like finishing a full iron was just completely like, it just seems like such a huge mountain to climb.
Right.
But I think just like with anything in life, if you take it one step at a time, no matter how many of those other obstacles are out there, from being a dad, being, a husband, having businesses, like the thought of trying to finish an Ironman is just completely daunting, but not really. If you take all these little pieces and compartmentalize them and set micro goals, and you surround yourself with like-minded people, and especially, the people of this community, anything is possible.
Okay, looks like we are live. Hello, Ironman and beyond. Busy high achievers all over the world. We are here once again, and we are super excited for today's topic. But first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Coach Shangrila, and this is Vinetta here. If you're new in this group, we do this one every week. And we also have Reggie now here, and he's calling from Illinois. Thanks a lot, Reggie.
Welcome, Coach. Welcome, Vinetta. Welcome, everyone.
All right, we're super excited. Let me go into this one of like what we're gonna tackle today, and I think this is such a perfect topic, mainly because a lot of athletes are wanting to aim for that big Ironman. It's like one of their bucket lists. They've been thinking about it. Are you one of them? All right. So if you're one of them, just put it under the comment below so we actually know. Like, okay, you want Ironman, or let's look into this one. Okay, so how to make Ironman training work for busy business owners and parents. Okay, finishing first Ironman in under 14 hours despite of 80% indoor training and a lot of traveling.
Yeah, right. I think it's a really awesome topic, and a lot of people are able to relate to this.
Yeah, and it's mainly because a lot of athletes. Okay, I really want to do Ironman, but blank. All right. So a lot of these ones, and we're going to tackle about this one, but let me look into it more here so I can read what the main things that we're going to be talking about. All right. So in this live training, we will be discussing what to do when you have a business and you work work travel requires a lot of your time, but you still want to train for an Ironman. When someone plants a seed on you and then you're like, it's in your bucket list, you've been thinking about Ironman, like you really want to do an Ironman, but you got your business, you're traveling. Okay. How about questions like, okay, will indoor training work? Because
I don't have a time to go outside. It's dark, I'm done working.
Right.
Like all those things. Like, can I really train indoors?
Yep. And a lot of athletes actually, like some athletes live somewhere where it's snowing. There's really, or like they don't have open water access. Who here don't have that, like a direct access where and you can actually go there. Some athletes don't have that.
Or it's far. It's like 2 hours away, and you're not going to do that.
Or you're very busy.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that you? Because if you feel like that's you, okay, stick around because this is going to help you big time. And I'm sure it's going to actually overcome like all these challenges that you're like, you know what? I want to do Ironman, but okay. So like, for example, will Peloton work? All right. Will Peloton work? Because Reggie here did that for his 70.3. And I'm going to tell you more of what happened there. And I know what he's going to share is going to help you out. Like, what if you only have a Peloton? What if you only have a spin bike? Because we have athletes actually didn't have Peloton and started with a spin bike as well. Yeah. So will that work? Or if you're like, let's just say you're not going for an Ironman and you're just wanting to finish, not just, actually, it's a big thing. You want to finish your first full marathon. Okay. Same thing. Reggie here, was very new with running. Actually, it's about just 1 year. Okay. And, he finished his first full marathon, and during the training, he was training on treadmill. How do you do that? All right. So for athletes who are in the, in the cold state wherein it's so hard for you to go outdoors because it's just super cold, like how did Reggie did that? Okay. So that one would also help you out. All right. So how about if, if your weakest sport is running, this one is for you too. Okay. What if you're also kind of new on your cycling? or actually did not have like a lot of formal instruction, like in the past in swimming. Okay. So this one would help you too. And how about, figuring out your Ironman nutrition that works for you? Okay. So you're going to get a lot of insights here. And we just talked about those things. Reginald here from Illinois definitely had a lot of challenges, some fun experience, because he has 3 kids here, as you can see here. This one he's been wanting to do it. He has 3 little cute kids. Can you see that here? All right, 3 kids. But what did he do to actually balance things? Okay. He had businesses. He's traveling. Okay. And of course, he needs to take care of his health as well. How can you make sure that, okay, like I can do this one? And plus, the next thing also, by the end of this call, I'm going to show to you, because I did pull the training hours that he actually put in during the Ironman training. Okay. But I mean, who's interested? Like, how many hours does an athlete actually really need to put in? What if I only have this? Is it even possible for me to train? And, is there a wiggle room there? Is it really just this number of hours? So I'm going to pull those realistic data that I pulled, from Reginald's training. And I think, this one will be very, very valuable for everyone. What do you think? All right. Are you guys ready to get started? So if you're just calling in, so if you're just calling in today and this is your first time to be in this live training, say, Coach, I am new and I'm super excited. All right. What is your goal next year? Are you looking into finishing your first triathlon, first marathon? Or are you wanting to improve your time? Okay. Or like
if Ironman is on your bucket list, how long has it been on your bucket list? How long have you been thinking about it?
What are the things that you need to look into it? Like what are you like wanting to work on right now? Okay. Because this one, it's not just Reggie, it's not just Vinetta and myself here. It's more back and forth. We want to communicate to you. We want to know you. We want to know your questions. This is the time to ask those questions. All right. So if you're just calling in, let's say hello. We got Michelle here from Hawaii. How are you doing, Michelle?
Welcome, Michelle.
We got Cans. We got Julian. All right. How are you all doing? You guys are excited about this one?
Amos is here. Welcome, Amos.
Amos from Colorado. Amos. All right. I know Amos was actually there as well. I just saw him in person in Arizona. That was amazing. Awesome. All right. Welcome, everyone. So without waiting further, let's introduce Reggie here, which will really, open up more doors for you, because he's going to say, you know what, it can be done. All right. We're going to tackle all those challenges. Today is the day that you're going to say, I can do this, because we have Reggie here and we're going to tackle more of that. Like, let's talk about this. All right. Welcome, Reggie. Congratulations on your.
Thank you so much, Coach Vinetta. How is everyone doing?
Oh my God, Reggie, you did amazing.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's exciting to be here. I'm very appreciative for you to ask me to be on this call, and I'm just excited to share the journey that I've experienced over the past 2 years with pretty much everyone here. It's been exciting. It's been challenging, and it's been a great ride. And I say this all the time. I feel like, we just run a marathon, in this case, a triathlon, Ironman, just to get to the starting line. Right. So, we're just getting started.
Getting the feet wet. All right. Well, Reggie just finished his first Ironman Arizona, his first full Ironman ever. All right. And he's very new. He was very new, and let me tell you, like, I met him actually through Ironman and Beyond. And let me show you of one of his first posts in Ironman and Beyond. Let me just check this one here. All right, here you go. I'm not sure if he still remembers it, but it was this one. Hey, gang, I'm new member to this group. This is what I'm doing, and he's telling about, this is my brick. I have Arizona 70.3 that I'm training. I'm 4 to 5 weeks out. And at the time, his pace for the swim was 2:05 minutes per 100 yards. And he said, like, the run killed me. The run killed me. All right. So that was back in September. And also I remember that, he's having some problem with his foot. He's getting numb. And we were talking about it, that got solved. So that's where Reggie started. And at that time, he basically finished a sprint in Olympic.
Yes, he finished the sprint. I remember that. But why don't you, Reggie, walk us through what was going on in your life just before you found us?
Yeah, wow, it seems like just yesterday, but at the same time, it feels like a lifetime ago, right? I mean, we've been together since September 2021. I just, like as Vanessa said, I just finished a sprint. I just finished an Olympic and was training towards a half Ironman in Arizona, and it was probably about, I'd say probably about 2 months prior to that race. It was like, man, I wasn't getting the results I needed. I kind of wasn't hitting those benchmarks that I needed. And then, obviously once we started connecting with Coach, 2 months prior to that first half Ironman, I just saw my training kind of take on a whole different dimension. And we had got to the point where we got into the half Ironman in Arizona, and it felt like such a big accomplishment at that point, because it was to finish a half Ironman.
Yeah.
And I just kind of knew at that point, it was like, wow, this is what I wanted to do. The thought of even just like finishing a full iron was just completely like, it just seems like such a huge mountain to climb. Right. But I think just like with anything in life, if you take it one step at a time, no matter how many of those other obstacles are out there, from being a dad, being, a husband, having businesses, like the thought of trying to finish an Ironman is just completely daunting. But not really. If you take all these little pieces and compartmentalize them and set micro goals, and you surround yourself with like-minded people, and especially, the people of this community, anything is possible. And I think that once we had finished the half Ironman in Arizona in 2021, I just kind of knew like the full was just inevitable. And obviously working with Coach and Vanetta, setting those milestones from, I think it was October 2021 up until recently, which is November, the full Ironman in November. Everything else in between has been a tug of war, a battle. It's a struggle, but it's all of these little struggles that you kind of win every day that ultimately get you to the finish line at the end of an Ironman. And it's just been great. It has not been linear. It has not been a straight line. And I think that's what makes it part of the fun, right?
Exciting.
There's the highs, there's the highs, there's the lows. I mean, I can't tell you how many Coach, how many times I'd call you after like 80 miles on the bike being like, what the hell are we doing? And then you would say, all right, this is what we got to do to kind of get over the finish line. And it's been a wild ride. It's been so much fun. It's been such a learning experience. And I feel like I'm just getting started.
Absolutely. Well, like going through it, I mean, like once you started with the Arizona 70.3, like at the time when actually that was the first time ever I met you in person. We met so far two times.
Let's just put a little caveat on that real quick.
Sure.
So I had not met Coach in person up until the morning of the race. I'm standing in line in the chute with my wetsuit on, with my head on, about to jump in the water. And then you come running up right behind me. Like, I think we hugged for a second. I was like, wait, hold on a second. You're not racing. Why are you in running gear? She's like, oh yeah, I ran half marathon just to get here to see you guys. I was like, this lady's crazy. You like, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. You ran a half marathon just to get to the starting line. It was great.
Super excited, actually. I was very excited to meet you up, first time in person then. And, like when at the time, that was last year, that was before you finished your first full marathon. And your words then was that, okay, I'm just going to get through the run. Like, you were kind of nervous because we did not have a lot of training just yet then. I think we only had like 4 weeks, like we need to tackle any other remaining things that you need for 70.3. That was where you were at on running. And then later on, everyone, you're going to see how he has evolved in running. And he was even surprised because when he finished his Ironman, let me just show you of like fast forward. Okay, let me just show you of like how he actually finished. his first full Ironman. So this is him. He knows how to finish. Let's learn from him. Okay. So let me, because I want you guys to like, see how amazing it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was very, very fun. I kind of played that moment out so many times during training. When you're grinding it out on the treadmill and you're grinding it out on Lakeshore Drive here in Chicago, and it's cold out and you don't want to be there, and it's like, man, what will it be like when you cross that finish line? You play that moment over so many times in your head, and it's like, wow, it's finally here. Like it's in front of me, and it was a pretty cool experience. But to your point on the run side of things, I mean, yeah, I think the 70.3 in October of 2021, I was like, man, if I could just get through the half marathon, that would be fantastic. And coach is like, you got this. And then we did, we finished the half marathon, and at the tail end of the half iron.
Yeah.
And then I remember us saying like, all right, let's do a full. And we'd we'd trained up to get to the we did a full marathon in what was it, I think Disney in Florida in December.
So, and I want us to get to that, because everyone and these are like what, like when Reggie was saying about the milestone, like it's not like straightforward.
No.
Okay. So it's not straightforward. So it comes to like, after he finished the 70.3 Arizona of last year, he got sub 7 actually for his first, which is pretty good. I think 640, 630, so which is pretty good for first. And, like after that, it's cold in Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and he couldn't run outdoors. And also, and his first full marathon was Florida, which is pretty humid, as you all know, and it's on January. Okay. And that was his first full marathon. And during that time, basically everything was done on treadmill. He tried outdoors, but it was just the body just struggling because of the cold temperature. So now a question, because I did look into your training peaks, your plan, and your longest, you did not just run like one time long run in treadmill. There was 3 hours 30, there's 3 hours, the longest was 4 hours, like to help out those athletes who are also doing indoors. Okay. So like it's a lot of running, there's some cross training, but we're focusing really on marathon, mainly because that was he feels like he's not confident there, and it's his longest, his longest run. So let's help out other athletes who's actually going through right now, because I'm sure there's some athletes here like, okay, all I have is just a treadmill. Like, what are the what's your mindset going through that?
So I guess what's interesting to me is that you used to say that a lot to me, like, oh, Reg, like, your mindset must be so strong, and you must be, you're on the treadmill for, hours on end. And I guess not until you had mentioned that, was it like, oh, okay, well, I guess then maybe I do have a strong mindset. I don't know. But I think the thing that helped me the most was more or less like, well, look, you're going to have to run 13 miles today, right? Mm-hmm. I don't live in LA. I don't live in San Diego. I live in Chicago, and it's January. So I guess, at some point it's like you start to realize like the run's going to suck after 13 miles anyway, whether you're outdoors or on a treadmill. So you might as well just get it done. Right. But then I think, as being a dad, having 3 kids, it actually, like, I always felt like it kind of worked in my favor. Right. Because like, I could be at home on a Sunday. I could get up super early. I could get up at 4 a.m. and be like, all right, guess what? I can bang out 6 to 10 miles in the morning on the treadmill. Kids are at home. My wife can go do her thing. I could start dinner in the evenings, and I could do all of this and be in control. Whereas if I ran outside, now I'm away from my children. My wife has to take care of the kids. She's got to worry about the stuff around the house. So I never really looked at it as a negative, right? Yeah. And then, so over time, you start to realize, well, okay, if I run inside or if I run outside, what does it really matter? It's still going to suck after 14 miles. So you might as well just get it done.
Yeah.
I also felt like maybe on the when I was running indoor, I actually felt like I had a little bit of an advantage because I was in a controlled environment.
Sure,
I didn't
sure.
have any of the outside elements to
Yeah.
deal with, and I could look at my data. I was right by the restroom, and
Yeah.
so I think I say all of that only because I do see a lot of athletes training in warm weather climates, and it is absolutely, you know, fantastic that, you know, you could go out into the Arizona desert and run mountains. And I literally wish I could do that, Eric. Yes, I do see your Facebook post. But at the same time, you know, if it's gonna suck, you might, it all comes down to perspective, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you know, it's something I realized in Arizona, the last Ironman that we just finished. It was, you know, you see 2,000 athletes on the starting line, right? I can guarantee you 99.9% of those do not train, have 100% of their training in the most optimal conditions.
Yes.
These people that are towing the start line are all moms, dads, professionals, you know, have businesses and families. And it's like, well, you know, if you want something that bad, if you are passionate about what it is that you're doing, you're going to figure out a way to get there. So, you know, I mean, whether it's collecting stamps or running or doing triathlon, it's like, if you are passionate about it, you will figure out a way to do it. And what works for me doesn't necessarily work for the next person, right? So, you know, my lifestyle doesn't afford me. Well, the way I live doesn't afford me to be able to train in the perfect San Diego weather. I got very crappy Illinois weather, but you know, when it comes to Ironman and, you know, in September, I can't be looking back and I couldn't train in January. So it's like, you're gonna figure out a way to get it done.
Are you guys getting a lot from what Reggie just said? Oh my God, that is such a lot of value. What I got from that is, you know, like having, like, you have a control to actually see how you want to see things. And for you see it actually as a, you know, like it's your advantage. Like, hey, you have your kids and you can actually be at home rather than, I would rather be in, you know, like outdoors. You wish to be there, but the way you see it's like, okay, this is actually better. You know, and you just basically do it because you are so passionate about what you wanted to do. And so here you go. And this is actually Reggie when he finished his first full marathon, 5:05. First full marathon, better than my first full marathon. Actually, you beat my first full marathon a long time ago. All right, so great job on that. And I wanted to show you. Hopefully, I can show you here. All right. So his time on that first full marathon didn't really change on his, if I grab this one, his time was on the Arizona, it was 5:05. This one is right after 112-mile bike. You know, so a lot of athletes was like, you know, like oftentimes, you know, athletes would usually add up another hour on their usual full marathon. Okay, but Reggie did not. And he said himself, actually, like I said, you know, he's running is his weakest. Okay. But he just did the training. Okay. And that's what's amazing about it is because, you know, and, you know, so the first full marathon that he did there, okay, this one here, that was January. And this one was November. This is his like official second, you know, like on a race. He had not done another full marathon race on his own, you know. So this one is a second, and actually, like you almost did not bike.
I think the first full marathon was definitely in Disney, and then after Disney, I think you actually assigned me a full marathon during training, and that was another example. It's like, you know, it's super cold here in Chicago. We're running along the lake, and it's like you're either gonna do it or you're not. You know, and I think that, you know, looking back at some of the indoor training, maybe some of it wasn't to my advantage and maybe some of it was to my advantage. But again, the same could be said for training outdoor, right? It's maybe in some parts of the country, it's you know, 100 10 degrees outside and you can't get a full marathon training outside. So I think it ultimately just comes back down to perspective, right? It's like, what is it that I want to do? Am I going to do whatever it takes to get there? And ultimately you're going to be the person that makes that decision.
Right. So everyone, so let's say hi to like those athletes actually who just called in. So making sure that
Andreas, Scott's here.
Stephanie, Kim, how are you all doing, everyone? So for those who's just calling in, this is what we're talking about today. It's very, very helpful for, especially if you're very busy and you want to make the Ironman training work for you. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, we're going to tackle all these challenges right now, you know, like indoor training, kids, you know, that came up so far. Okay. Or are they actually challenges, or is this just part of it? Like, you know, an athlete would have to adjust, especially if they're so passionate and they want it so badly, the goal, you will figure it out, like what Reggie said.
Yeah. So let's hear it. In the comments, where are you guys at with your running, and how are you guys with indoor training?
Okay. So, all right. So, Reggie, so
Yes.
the other part is that, like, besides the full marathon, Florida also did the Galveston, which is April. Okay. So now let's put again Reggie in a cold state, like cannot do outdoor. Guess what? So he signed. He did sign up. He did sign up for Galveston, which is April. Okay. Okay. For that Galveston, did not have any open water.
Right. That was a big deal for us too, right? I mean, it was completely swimming indoor 24/7. Had not been able to go outdoor.
Cycling also, everything Peloton. All right.
Peloton.
He didn't have one of those smart trainer. Instead, he was working with the Peloton. And then as you guys know, like it's very windy there. So this one was his second 70.3. Okay. So he still made it work and actually beat his PR, you know, and beat his PR. So this one here, it was an ocean swim and run PR. So he beat his time from Arizona 70.3. And that was training 99% indoors. Seriously. And, you know, these are the things. And actually, and this is what I mentioned, you know, like he was doing Peloton, pool, okay, go pool and then treadmill. And then he went to, you know, Galveston. Like, who does that? Like someone who's in the cold area went to Galveston, right?
Well, and I think that was another like huge learning curve for me too, because you know, training indoors on a Peloton is completely different than experiencing the wind and humidity out in Texas. I remember like at 70.3 in Galveston, you know, I was going out and I didn't really understand how much the wind would affect me when it was a tailwind at my back. And I was like, man, I'm feeling pretty good today. This is great. Oh man, I'm like 22, 23 miles an hour on the bike. This is great. This is going to be a good day. And then I turned around and the wind was into me. But again, you know, it's just one of those.
See, you know, like your time was pretty good. 3:15, you know, for a second 70.3, considering that you did a lot. I mean, 99% indoor, and your swim was actually 37 minutes. I wanted to point out his swim in January. Okay. And again, you know, we pull data here. Okay. And then we're going to ask him next about the swimming, because he did amazingly. All right. So right here, this is his data. And I did pull January 20 right here. It was 2:05 minutes per 100 yards. Okay. We went to like February 17, got it down to 146.
Nice.
April 27, 137. He kept like shaving off. All right. June 1st, 137 to 135. And then now, you know, we got to build with the Ironman distance. And that's why, you know, like right here, this is one of those recent ones wherein he did like, bam, 10 by 400 yards, still maintained a good fast speed, 142 minutes per 100 yards. This one is leading to the Ironman. Okay. He did his Ironman with 124.37. That, you know, so like when he started last year, his time was like 2:05. So Reggie, how did it happen? Like how, you know, were you doing a lot of swimming back then? I know it's a weakness, but it's still, you know.
Yeah. I only started swimming about 3 years ago. And when I say like started swimming like in a pool, I mean, I never did any competitive swimming growing up. I think what helped me improve the swim month over month since we started working together was, you know, you're right, it is looking at the data, right? And it's saying like, okay, how can I get that like 1% better every day, right? And it doesn't feel like it in the moment, but I think as you just alluded to right now, when you look at these blocks of data month over month, it's a lot easier to understand. It's a lot easier to see those little incremental improvements. But they don't come by sitting at home or saying, well, I can't swim outdoors because it's cold, so I'm not going to swim at all. You have to get in the pool. You have to do it. You have to commit to wanting to get that 1% better. So whether it's in a pool at 140 starting and then incrementally getting better, and then 3 months later I'm better at 132, or you're open water swimming at 205 and you're getting incrementally better, it doesn't matter whether you're indoor or outdoor.
Work.
But you have to put in the work, right? And you're going to put in the work and you're going to excel at it if you choose to do it and you want to get better. And then obviously there's a lot of other technical things that are involved in that. You know, it's the coaching, it's the understanding when to push, when to pull back, when to rest, when to go for it, which obviously you have been, you know, fundamental in all of that. But ultimately, you know, it's, you know, the goal to the end is, you know, that line to the end has never been linear. Like I say it all the time, you know, it's ups and downs, but as long as you're always making, you know, constant improvements every day, then you can't go wrong. So, and you know, fitting that in with the busy schedule. I mean, I travel a lot for work. I have 3 little ones at home, and, part of all of that is like, because my time is so limited when it does come to training, it's like you can't goof off, because the rest of that, the rest of my time and bandwidth is dedicated to my children and to our business and to our family. So it's like, when you have this little block to work in, you better make it count, because you don't have expendable hours in the day.
It sounds like you were expecting that already. Like you have this block of time, like looks like mindset wise, you're expecting that, hey, okay, I just got to get my discipline, my time management. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, 100%. You know, when it comes down to the time management at the end of the day, it's like, knowing that there is this finite time in the day that you have because you've committed to something. Once you set that time aside, I mean, whether it's 4 a.m. swimming or, you know, 10 p.m. half marathon runs, it's like once you've decided how that block of time is going to be spread out, it's like then that's like then the easy part is just showing up and doing it, right? But it's doesn't mean it's easy. I mean, if it's easy, everybody would do it, and it's not.
Yeah. And I do think you do make it fun. I mean, you know, like, especially, I don't know how your kids feel about things, but it seems like they're having fun.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
like this is how, you know, Reggie would do it. You know, I don't know. I think they're the one who's working out for you rather than you. But yeah, so Reggie would either like treadmill, they're making them work out as well. And there you go. Like, I think they're the ones who's also like looking out for you, like, or vice versa. Tell us more about this one. Like, you know, you're involving your kids.
Yeah, you're very much on point with that. You know, at the end of the day, you know, training for an Ironman is exceptionally difficult, not only physically, but, you know, emotionally as well, right? So when you're spending large amounts of time or large blocks of time away from your family, you, as a parent, you could start feeling a little guilty about that. So I learned very quickly, it's like, well, you can go down this road and this journey alone, Reggie, right? Of Ironman. But it's not going to be as rewarding. So if you can get your tribe behind you, it's going to be a lot more rewarding. And so what I realized is, in the beginning, if I could involve my children as much as possible, that will allow me to stay emotionally connected to them through this training. But what I actually realized very quickly is they pick up on everything. We're at the point now where, my wife will work out in the morning and I'll work out in the evening, and, her alarm clock goes off at 5, and my youngest, who is 4, she'll wake up with my wife and she'll be like, it's time to go work out. It's workout time. Right. And the days that I don't go run and swim, my 2 boys will be like, hey, you didn't swim today. You didn't run today. And they're not saying, they're not saying it to be judgmental. It's just that they notice, like, hey, you didn't do that. So I realized very quickly, they observe, and they know that when you're hurting, it's like, all right, Dad, what can I do to help? Do you need a massage? Do you need, how can I help you? And getting them involved allowed me to not feel guilty, not being away from them as much. And the other part of it too is they get to come to races, they get to train, they get to come to races with me, and they get to, be a part of that journey. So it's almost like, when I finish a long distance race like this, it's not just my victory, right? It's like, it's our tribe's victory, because everybody's had a hand in it.
Yeah.
And, for my 2 older kids, they've got to the point now where it's like, I had mentioned this to Eric, one of our other triathletes. Like, I negotiate iPad time with them, right? It's like,
of course,
you want 30 minutes on an iPad every hour, every minute that you give me on the treadmill, you can exchange that for a minute on the iPad. So it's like, training has become very routine in our household, and I can only, just say thank you to Ironman and training for that, because they're as involved now as much more involved now than they were when we first started.
Yeah, it sounds like there's like more, more excitement, something new that's happening with the family besides just going to school or your business. But now it's like there's new activities going on.
Yeah,
communication, quality time.
Absolutely. And so my eldest, who is he is 10, he's actually done 3 triathlons now.
There you go.
And my middle child, who is 7, Michael, he did his first triathlon this year. So it's a way to incorporate our family time together. And it's either that or we could be sitting on the couch watching some show that we're never going to remember.
There you go. Well, so everyone, dads and moms here, what have you done? Actually, how do you get your kids involved? I'm sure you have been so creative in like making things happen, because you want to spend time with your kids, and at the same time train and or race. And one of the things that I know Reggie had done also is like, okay, let me just race somewhere where I can take them. One of those races is actually this. It's called Door County. I believe this one is in Illinois, right? Door County Triathlon. So this one wherein he actually, took your family with you. And I think there was like some camping there. So you did like more for like fun at the same time.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, triathlon can be expensive. It's the plane tickets and the hotels and the travel, but it's what we sign up for. And I initially got into this thinking, wow, this would be a great way to kind of go see the country, right? All these beautiful, right? Yeah, all these beautiful triathlons around the country. But then I realized, like, very quickly, well, again, if I'm going to incorporate my family, we need to be a little bit more strategic about this. So we go camping across the country, and it's a little cheaper, and you get to bring the kids and the family with, and it's just a way for us to spend some time together. And again, if triathlon is something that you're passionate about, you're gonna figure out a way to do it and still spend time with your family, because it does take a tribe to get you across the finish line.
So those are great things, Reggie. So everyone, we've talked about a lot of challenges, and really, really hope that you're taking notes and really taking it all in, because I know this challenge is like indoor training, like the travel part, or like now we're going to talk about like weather. Okay. Sometimes, like it rains, and there were times that Reggie's so stubborn sometimes. He would bike with, with rain. And I know Michelle is here
And then
Michelle bikes, you know, she's Michelle here is actually in Hawaii. She would bike also in the rain. So yeah, like there were times when it was just super cold, but she's Reggie. This is Reggie, coach. This is me right now. All right.
I remember the first time I ever did a century ride. I think
Yes.
you would assign me. It was my first century ride, and you know, I think mentally I was just so like, all right, we're doing it. This is it. We're not gonna stop. There's nothing that can prohibit me from getting through that 100-mile mark.
Yeah.
You know, unless I get hit by a car, knock on wood, or my bike breaks down, right? And I'd actually only realized at the end of that 100-mile bike ride, you know, I think 60% to 70% of that entire ride was in pouring rain.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's almost like you don't if you're gonna figure out a way to do it, you're just gonna do it. And then you look back and I was just like, wow, yeah, that's right. Like 70% of that ride was like 100, like in pretty bad rain.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things that also that Reggie had a challenge initially was actually nutrition, trying to dial in the nutrition, you know, like what has required us to do is like, Reggie, what do you like to eat? All right, let's put something together and actually put on like what he needs to eat every hour and then get feedback. So like a lot of communication. How did that help you in terms of dialing in your nutrition? And then when it comes to the Ironman, Arizona, how did that help you? Because we were dialing in like not a few weeks before Arizona. It's actually way when you're actually cycling and building volume. Like we're not just swim by run. Nutrition is very important. Tell us more about that.
Listen, someone told me earlier on in my Ironman journey, you know, the 4 disciplines of Ironman are swim, bike, run, nutrition. And I never really understood what that meant. And I could not have been so more naive than I was about my nutrition up until we started working together. You know, my idea of nutrition was make sure you drink water and I guess grab an energy bar or something like that whenever you're feeling hungry. Like that was the extent of my understanding of nutrition. The more the intense workout started getting, and we started working together, did I realize how important that was to really understand and calculate your calorie intake, your carb intake, and what it truly takes to fuel an endurance activity like that. Yes, we can. When we started working on the nutrition side of things, it was like, well, it's a basic formula, right? Like this is how much you need to take in every hour, etc. But not everybody's the same, you know.
There's more into it actually, and sometimes we're like more hungry. And those were the times wherein we actually have to dial in because you couldn't run right after, right? So
correct.
Like,
I mean, I was like basically crippled after a 90-mile ride, and I just couldn't go on. Not because my legs were sore or my body was sore. I remember being like, I have to eat. I just have to eat something. I can't even think about doing something else. And I think through that trial and error and that process of understanding what my nutrition intake needed to be, only then through those experiments was I able to understand what it truly took to get through 6 to 12 hours worth of workouts. And it's not like you could just read in a book, oh, just eat this at this time and take in these calories. It's like you have to experiment with that. You have to understand what works for your gut, what works for your stomach, and can you take that in? Exactly. That's not going to come overnight. You have to prime your body for that intake.
You said what I was going to say. Yeah. Training our digestive system as much as we train our physical body. And for everyone, we had that masterclass actually, or a training per se. Just put #nutrition. I did talk more about like nutrition that, Reggie already got started talking. Like we got to dial in your nutrition, not like few weeks before an Ironman, but actually well ahead, and not just the bike, also the run portion, what works for you. And we had to do that, a lot of trial and error, and actually find like what really would work for Reggie, because each person is different. All right.
So okay. We had a few questions in the group.
Ooh,
Andrea was asking about
Andrea,
a weather related question. Did you ever do any cold acclimatization in the water in your training?
No.
Sure. No, definitely not. I can actually, here's something that I can share about, maybe not necessarily cold water acclimation. Look, I don't like cold. I grew up in South Africa until I was 18. It's the same climate as San Diego. I don't, the cold doesn't sit well with me. So I never did any cold water climatization. I actually had another problem swimming. It was, and I think Coach and I, we discussed this at length. I had a phobia of being in open water. I had 1 or 2 panic attacks in that water. Not to diminish any other issues that might come with swimming, but I think if we take something like open water swimming or being cold in the water or something that could potentially, hinder your race, I think it's more about like, how do you attack the problem and the mindset in attacking that problem, whether it be cold water or open water swimming. It's like, how do you deal with that problem in that moment? And then once you figure out those mechanisms, everything else kind of falls in line. I actually, funny story, Andrea. I will actually send you a picture when we're done. I don't like swimming in cold water. This afternoon, I actually bought a 150-gallon trough tank and filled it with water and ice to be able to jump in the water every morning when I get up.
Nice.
So yeah,
Awesome.
I was like, well, we might have to start this climatization. I don't know. I'll send you the picture, Andrea.
There you go. Good question, Andrea.
That's amazing.
All right. Scott wants the nutrition. We'll get that for you. Michelle also
She
said
was sharing that she doesn't have a treadmill, but she does the elliptical on raining days.
Yeah.
Indoor
Elliptical.
training.
Good. Well, one of the things that I wanted to share you, and I know a lot of athletes would be very interested in this, and because I was curious myself. Okay. First thing, like how many hours would a person need to actually finish strong, just like Reggie did? When you're traveling, when you have a lot of travel, you got business, you're a very busy parent. And for him, he has 3 kids, and this is his time. Sub 14 for first Ironman. He just finished his first full marathon on January, finished this one. Same time, 5 hours on the run. Great time on the bike that's windy. This was very good time for first Ironman. And got kids. So I pulled it because I know a lot of athletes would be very curious. And my answer is really, it depends on what the athlete can do. Okay. How many hours? So like if someone actually asked me right off the bat, how many hours did Reggie train? I'm going to tell you, let me check the plan of what worked for him, because it changed. There's no black and white, even as much as, like we hear like, oh, you got to need like over 20 hours or 15 hours. Like if the athlete, like has to be with the family, we got to set, like what is the priority of the athlete at that time? And it can vary.
That's that's so true, because I look back at the, past almost 2 years, and I can tell you firsthand, some of those weeks that are maybe not as heavy in terms of volume and hours are just as hard as those weeks that don't have that amount of hours of volume associated, but the intensity is sky high. So I agree 100% with what you're saying. It's like, if you can only work a short amount of hours on the training for that week, but you can have, 100% intensity, it's almost the same. Yeah.
And also, I do think it's not just the training, as I mentioned a lot with our athletes, it's like the overall stress, because it could be like, yes, you have a low number of hours, but it's mainly because you're just so busy, right? And then we don't realize, or sometimes we tend to forget, oh yeah, I did a lot, at work so much. And that's why it's affecting, like my performance at times, because sometimes you just need rest. So now here you go. I'm going to show this, and I don't think actually, I only showed Reggie the final. So I did pull the data. These are all the number of hours every week, January to like November. But I'm going to show you the summary instead here. Okay. So because I know athletes would be very interested, like how many hours? Okay. So here you go. this is what Reggie did. And I'm going to explain so you don't have to go through the numbers. But basically, there's January to November. He did a full marathon in January, first full marathon. His race was Ironman Arizona. Okay. And as you can see, you know, every month it varies. Okay. So this one is from January to around May, he was going like 22 to 33. It varies.
Per month.
Per month.
Not week.
This one is per month. Okay. So now what I did is that I divide that. Basically, this is where we get at, you know, because some of the weeks, so for example, each month, there's 4 weeks. There are some weeks that we are really training, but at the same time, we got to do recover. Okay. We can't just train. And this is for, if you're listening to this one's going to be good for you. Your body cannot just push every week. All right. You got to recover. And that's why it's spread out, you know? So like here, you know, so he was training basically, you know, 7 hours per week average, 7 hours, 6.9 hours on February. This one is only training for 70.3. When we got heavier, you know, like right here, he even like took a break, August, 3 weeks break because of business. He had to take care of business. All right. And then the next thing here, you know, like September, October, yes, he was putting a lot of hours because IMAS is coming up. It's the peak during that time. Okay. Total time, 47 hours for September, which is actually averaging 12 hours per week. October, 10.5 hours per week. Okay.
So it looks like it's between 1 and 1.5 for
Yeah.
the most part.
The most hours
day.
that he put in a week is 15 hours for the entire year. For the entire year from January to November, most hours, 15 hours and 19 minutes to be exact.
That week.
Okay. For that week. But for, you know, like if I do the average, that's basically the average, you know, like do you have like about 10 hours? The most was September, 12 hours.
So basically, do you have an hour a day?
Okay. So, yeah. So, what do you guys think about that? Did you get something about that? So what he was doing, you know, like what we've done is that like we do our best to limit depending on what the athlete's availability. And there were times that, you know, like he even went to Jamaica. That's part, you know,
Yeah.
family, you know, he did not like, coach, I'm just going to train the entire year. No, we went for trips. There's a lot of travel for work.
Yeah. And I think looking at those averages, you know, just really truly understanding how much travel is involved in all of that too. It just reminds me that like anybody can do this sport. Like anybody, you know, if you set your mind to it, like there's no stopping you. And if you're willing to put in the time and follow a training plan and be committed and look at the data, analyze the data, and just surround yourself with people that understand the sport better than you. In my case, you and Vanetta, there's no doubt that whether you average 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, 6 hours, if you're going to be in that community and dedicate yourself to it, then you're going to get the results.
Yeah.
So going back to what you just said, what is it that made you decide to even say yes to coaching, go for coaching? Because you were doing self-taught before that. You did the sprint on your own. I
wouldn't even call it self-taught. I was like, oh, there's a pool. Let's go swim.
But what did you like say? Like, I need coaching. This is what I'm going to do.
Sure. I think leading up to the 70.3 in Arizona, I mean, I'd gone down the YouTube rabbit holes and I'd gone down the internet forums and blogs and try to educate myself, and they get you to a certain point. And I realized probably coming up on half Ironman in Arizona in 2021, it was like, I don't see it. I don't see the quantifiable results that I think or the metrics that I should be hitting in order for me to have a successful race. And it's like, when you're spending time and money and hours into something that you love, it's like, you want to know that you'll be able to get across that finish line. And leading up to that race, I wasn't seeing it. I was like, man, I really need to surround myself with someone that is better than me, that understands the data, that understands the journey, that understands all the other little intangibles around you that I don't have any experience analyzing and working on it. I think once I made that decision to be like, I have a business coach. I have other coaches in other part of my life too. And I was like, wow, if you're going to spend your time on something that you're so passionate about, you need a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And once you and I started working together, I mean, the upward curve was just exponential almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
From a technique perspective, from a not necessarily time blocking perspective, but more like being able to have more concentrated, focused workouts than trying to like willy-nilly a workout together. Yeah. And so having that hyper-focused workout that allowed me to really kind of maximize my time. It like, you know, the data, as you had pointed out earlier, was just very, it increased the workout, the benefits that I was getting from the workouts just increased just so quickly. And fast forward A to B, 2021 to 2022, it's like, oh, okay. Ironman done. Let's go do 3 more.
Amazing.
I think one of the things also that, and I'm going to catch this one because, you know, busy business owners, these are like busy high achievers. And for you, and we've had a lot of calls that I do think I was able to catch you. And I think, you know, like emotionally more of like having that confidence and security, because you always ask me, Coach, are we on track? Like, Coach, are we still good? And then more of like confirmation. I do think that has helped you as well.
Oh, like, for sure. Yeah. I mean, like, look, you know, we are living our own triathlon journeys every day, right? So you don't see those incremental changes because you're just in it every single day. Some days I feel here, some days I feel down there. And it's like, all right, are we on track? What do I make sense of all of these numbers and how I'm feeling? And some days I feel great and some days I don't. But I think having someone like you from the outside,
seeing you,
being able to see the bigger picture, to see how the chessboard plays out, it's like, yeah, no, Reggie, you're fine. Just you are on track. And there were also times where it's like, no, you need to pick it up. And, you know, it's not all.
Your run. Let's get the run.
Yeah, you know, here are things that you need to work on, and here are things that are going well. And I've always just said, you know, don't tell me what I want to hear. Let's focus on the things that we need to focus on. And when you have said to me like, hey, this is what we need to focus on, that's the feedback I'm looking for. And I wouldn't know those are the things that I need to work on unless someone from the outside that is more experienced than me says, hey, go work on them.
Yeah.
So
I did bring up like nutrition, that's one thing, your bike, the cycling part. I mean, the running part, running right after the bike, those are critical ones. Looks like we have another question. Oh,
yes,
we have
Michelle's asking, did you ever have frustrations that made you question your goal to race? How did you get through those moments?
Ooh.
Yeah, so that is a great question. So and again, I can just speak specifically to my journey that is very different from everyone else's. I would say that I never questioned the goal, right? It was never like, why did I do this? Because I think I had a pretty strong why. I never questioned, you know, whether I was going to finish the race or get to the other side of the wall. That was never a question. I think a lot of us in the triathlon community are just very strong-willed, stubborn people to begin with. I think if anything, some of the things that I have questioned along the way is like, am I doing better? How can I get better? Am I doing enough? Am I doing too little? Am I spending enough time with my family and on the business? I think if I would to nitpick questioning what I do, it's more, internal organizational, more internal organization for me than anything else. So it's like getting to the end is never a question for me. Yeah. Once I set that sight on that bullseye, like nothing's going to stop me from getting there.
Yeah.
The challenge becomes, what chess pieces do I move around my life to get there? I'm not sure if that answers the question or not, but
I think what I'm getting there also is that like when we're going after something big like Ironman, you know, that will definitely like would affect some like how we do things, is like we got to know like the why and then that goal and be really clear to it. Because what happened is, for you were clear and you know your why. So it's really, you don't even ask that. It's just right there. It's waiting to happen. Yeah. But it's more about like, how do you want to experience it during the journey and how can you make it better and better and better? It's more of the process, right?
Very, very, very much true. You know, like I said earlier, crossing the finish line was never going to be an option. I think I'm just stubborn that way. I think that once that was established, what I had a hard time was like, okay, we know what the end result is. I need people in my circle to help me figure out how to get there. And that wasn't, I can't say it's just coach or just my wife or just my business partners or my children. It is literally everyone together. And without this little tribe, it's like, I don't think I would have crossed that finish line. But the great thing about Ironman is that it's not supposed to be easy. You know, it's like, it's not a linear line, you know, it's challenging. And I would say that once you commit to it, if you are unrelenting, you will figure out a way to get there.
Gotcha. All right.
We have another really good question from Alicia. She says, you mentioned that you traveled while you were training. Did traveling make harder for you to keep your nutrition dialed in? Did you train at all during your travels?
That is a great question. So I think my second 70.3, I left my running shoes at a hotel in Nashville, and I had to get a new pair right before the race. But yeah, no, definitely. So during I think I was traveling at one point almost to it. Yeah, it was almost like.
Let me show everyone, Reggie. So I did pull his hours, and this is what I wanted to share. March first week, he only trained 4 hours 44 minutes because he was in Jamaica with family. Second week, 9 hours 48. Third week, 11 hours. Fourth week, he was in Nashville for a trip, and then he did the Galveston 70.3 on fifth week. That was the travel on March.
What that's showing is the only trip, the Nashville trip, that I didn't do workout on. There was a time where it was like almost every other week I would be in a different city, even if it was just for a day or for a night. But in those instances, it's like, you know, you definitely still try and stick to a schedule. I will tell you, like, bring your running shoes. Great. You wake up early before breakfast and you go for a 3-mile run, or you're going to get back from meetings in a different city. And guess what? Gym is open. The hotel has a gym. Guaranteed, any hotel you go to has some sort of, you know, elliptical or treadmill, or guess what? If they have neither, you've got a laptop with, you know, a laptop that you can do yoga on. So it's like, the key, I think, for me was staying consistent, whether it be just something small or even large. I felt like there were occasions where it's like, oh man, I couldn't get it in today because I was at the airport at 4 and I came back home at midnight. Yeah. Those were harder to get back into on the workout side, but I tried to not do that if I couldn't.
Yeah.
But to try and stay consistent on your workouts is key. Just try and get something in, keep the body moving if you can. And yeah, diet's never easy, but you know, you can go to and I'm not saying like, you know, go to a restaurant and order a salad, but it's like you can get a salmon or a chicken and some pasta, and it's going to be just fine.
Yeah. And actually, one of your best runs was actually in Vegas. You did 3-hour run in Vegas, you know, and that was October. It was pretty hot, but then that was one of your best runs. Good thing that you brought your shoes there.
Yeah, that was, I went on a work trip out to Las Vegas, and coach
miles.
was like, you got to do a long run. And we said, okay. So I while my buddies were coming home at 6 a.m. in the morning, I was already asleep the night before, and I was running. I think we did like a 20-mile run from downtown Vegas up into the Red Rocks and back. And like I said, man, you're gonna figure out a way to get there.
There you go. Well, everyone, it's been a great time with Reggie. We ran out of time, unfortunately. Alicia said, unrelenting. That's, I love the word. Alicia said, so this is what we do. Athletes, you know, we're very proud of Reggie. And this is so much for growth for you, Reggie. I know it's only a start. And for everyone who just watched this, what Reggie's story, you know, we talk about a lot of challenges. So I'm going to name some of them. You know, indoor training. Okay. 99% he was doing it. Weather. Okay. Running was hard for him. Kids, travel, training very indoors. Busy. Okay. So like, and also just being new to the sport, trying to juggle all these things. If you have that challenge, you know, like if you want to just like, hey coach, how do we do this one? Or like, if you are ready, okay, to actually, coach, I've been wanting to do an Ironman, or even just 70.3, because Reggie actually started with a 70.3. He did not have 70.3 when he started. He was trying to do it on his own. Okay. So if you just want to like, coach, I'm ready. I am very busy, but I really want to make this happen. I need some help, you know, like we can help you out. Like, you know, just map it out. And if you're that person that you are ready to go after your goals, especially 2023 is coming up, just put #game plan down below and we'll talk about your goals and see like, okay, what's realistic? When can we do it? You know? And then, so at least you're actually just moving forward little by little. Start talking about your goals. All right. It's not just, it's great to think about it. But when you start talking about your goals, we want to talk about your goals, you know, so have #game plan below so we can talk more about it. Okay. And then for you, Reggie, before we let you go, I know you got to go to another meeting or with family.
I do. Yeah.
I know. So like, what's the top or 3 things that you're going to tell you could advise, you know, the old Reggie before? Now that you have so much in, you know, tools,
sure.
You know, what are the top 3 advices that you would say?
I would say, and no in any particular order, but be very crystal clear about what you want your goal to be. Because if you can see that goal in your mind and it is as crystal clear as day, you will get there. So define what that goal is. The second would be surround yourself with with people that are better than you. If you can create a tribe of people that are pushing you and that are better than you, you will inevitably become better. And the third thing is just no matter what you do, just I'm going to use the word, be unrelenting and absolutely savage about getting there. Yeah. And you will.
Savage about your goal. All right. Well, thank you so much, Reggie. If you guys got a lot of value, put #value. Let's thank Reggie. I know he's very busy, but it's been a pleasure. But thank you.
Awesome, so much, Coach. Thank you. Thank you to you. Thank you to Vanetta. Thank you to the team.
All right. Bye, Reggie.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one. Talk to you later.
Right. Bye. Bye.